Well, folks, thought I'd show you a little shot of what it looks like where I'm at here. Sun hasn't set. It's just after 10 o'clock. It's in behind the clouds there, but I got a little creek making a bunch of noise. See some loons here on the lake. So, I told you I'd do some bushcraft stuff here soon. It's not going to be a real hardcore project, but it is something you can polish some skills up, we'll say. I've been acquiring a few more Swiss Army knives over the last year or so here, maybe a few years, I guess. But kind of need somewhere to put them, so I'm going to build a bit of a storage unit. I guess we could call it that. But I'm going to be doing that with one of my latest finds here. This is the Ranger Grip 79. It's part of the Delamont collection, so it's a 130 millimeter chassis. It's got the one-hand opening blade. It's got a really nice saw, the cap lifter, screwdriver, wire cutter, stripper, bender, whatever you want to call it, and the can opener. We'll see all these tools here in a little bit, but here's a cool little feature about this guy. One-hand knife, so when I'm doing some rope work around the boat and stuff like that, should be handy. Has a liner lock, so let's go ahead and press the little cross and then shield there, and away you go. So, let's get some resources together here and put something together. Alright, so I've got a little bit of material here. So just talking real quickly about the Ranger Grip 79 here. Cutting some green willow down. Yeah, saw worked pretty good. But to just put some tension on those fibers, the knife blade just slices right through that like nobody's business. So I'm going to clean some of these up and get them ready to build our project. Now, am I saying you should replace your sheath knife with this? I don't really have enough time on it yet to say that, but really a good solid sheath knife is going to be your best bet for a lot of things. It's simpler, there's less things to go wrong with it. It's easier to clean it and keep it operating properly. Man, this thing cuts nice. A lot better than I thought it would. For just being basically a Swiss Army knife on steroids. Let's see, how long do I want this? So picture a bunch of these hanging up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go to 10. So let's do some chest draw cuts here. Seems to bite in fairly well. I'll dare say I probably could even cut all the way through doing that, but just for the sake of the test here, yeah, perfect. So now I'll use that for a measuring stick, right to that, and then we're laughing. Alright, now let's try a kind of a heavy push cut on it with a hammer grip. I dare say it's not the best thing for it, but it does it. That flat grind blade definitely slices nice. Alright, so there's 2 sticks. And that works out well for this one, right to the knotty section there, or the fork I should say. They're not quite knots yet. And you know what, just for giggles, let's try the saw on that crazy spot there. We've got an intersection of 2 main parts of the stem here, and then it forks off again, so I'll just chuck this on my truck and see how well that cuts. Mosquitoes are definitely out. As long as you can keep it in the cut, you're doing good. That didn't take real long. So we got 3. I think I said I needed 7 if I remember right. before. Might as well try the saw again here. Now, there's an interesting discussion point, we'll say. Do you need to cut all the way through with the saw? No. You can, so you just saw how that cut through there, but what I can do, really quick and dirty, same thing that you can do with your knife, except now we're just going to score it around those fibers. So I'm only in probably about 3 or 4 millimeters all the way around. You can go ahead and just snap it right off. That's much quicker than sawing, but it doesn't look as cool maybe. You see guys doing all this saw testing and they're just going crazy. This is to help save energy, not to waste energy, we'll say. So yeah, I'll grab some more branches here and get these cut up. That looks decent. There's my, we'll say, top and bottom piece. Or, yeah, there we go. Let's make those the uprights. So now, got one piece here that cracked on me, so cut that crack out so that doesn't keep on traveling. At least not before it's all lashed together. Alright, clean this end up. That's the one that we scored and broke. Now the rest of them need to be this long, so find the ugliest side to cut off, which in this case is going to be either here or there. I did find the saw cuts dry wood a little better than green wood, but it might just be willow binds it up a little bit. Not crazy bad, but just noticeably. And rotate it so I don't have the bark peel off. That one. Alright, so there's a few ways you could do this. What I might do the next time I do one of these, if I have time, is to actually do some notches in here to stick this together. But to do a really quick job on it here, we can use what's called a square lash. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's start on the outside here. So I'm going to tie a clove hitch in here. You could even do a constrictor knot, honestly, would probably work quite well still. Alright. There, that's caught on itself. Now I can keep this on the spool to make things pretty easy, but I'm basically going to go under here and then over on the top and then underneath again onto the bigger piece on top. Now this time when I come on top, I'm actually going to come inside a little bit. Same thing on the bottom. I'm going to cross over that and go inside. And then I'm going to cross over the top one here. So see how I'm going to go from the outside to the inside. I'm going to do that all the way around here. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going inside, crossing over those, inside, crossing over, inside, crossing over, inside. I'm trying to keep as much tension on this as I can. Now you could use a Canadian jam knot, especially if you had this notched, but this is going to make things super sturdy here. And it's the same sort of lashing that you might practice for, let's say like a improvised spinal board or a litter or something to get somebody out of the bush. Or if you're making a cod or something like that, all kinds of ways. If you've got a 90-degree intersection, and I can use this whole spool here almost like a toggle to pull it tight. So that's pretty good, but now I can go ahead and make that even tighter. So I'm going to come around the back here, and this is called frapping. So I'm going to do these frapping turns. I'm basically going to capture all these windings I did earlier of the actual lashing. Get that half-dead mosquito out of there. And I'm going to use these to draw this even tighter. This should really stiffen things up. It's okay if all those other sticks move. I just kind of laid it out to see how I wanted it. Do a few turns there. And I can go ahead and cut this. So here's a prime example why I think a one-hand opening knife is pretty handy in the bush. You can be holding tension on something here. Go ahead and give that a slice. Alright, so now I can actually finish that up the same way I started if I want. I can go ahead and put another clove hitch down here. So I'll make my little X. Probably not going to be able to see from that angle, but you can always look up the clove hitch online. Actually, if you want to find somebody who's really good at demonstrating knots, check out Corporal's Corner with Corporal Kelly here on YouTube. Fantastic channel. So I can dress that up to the side a bit. You can always come back and make this look pretty down the road, but for now I'm going to make this just as sturdy as I can. I could even, if a fellow wanted, now I can tie a reef knot between these two. So left over right, and then right over left, and that'll keep both of those ends from coming undone. Scissors are great, but just take the knife and push it into the wood with the cordage in between it, and it does just as good a job. And now I have a joint that's got a lot of strength and stability in this sort of direction, so it wants to lock that tight. So I'm going to do the rest of this up, and then we'll see how that's going to evolve. Alright, my battery's almost dead and it's almost midnight here, so I'll make this quick. Here's the rack itself finished up. I'm going to go home and do the last step or two on this, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. See you guys in a bit. Alright, so now that we're home, it's the next day here. Picked up a bunch of these hooks. Got a few stragglers left behind. My A-locks ones that don't have key rings, I'll figure something out for them. And here it is so far. It's getting there. And I'll be hanging that up on the wall, so hopefully we'll see that here shortly. Alright, well, I'm going to attempt to cross back over here. That's got quite a bit of flow coming through. So I got the balance stick. It did hold me the first time, so I'm hoping the second time.